Mondays with the Mako. Guys, thanks for being with me again. This is the third episode or series of the first interview round, and I'm excited for this one. It's a bit of a subject today, and I'm pleased and honored to have Chris Braden with me. And Chris is a Colorado boy, born and bred, and we've got a bit of a connection there because of my following with the Broncos, and many of you know that. Chris and I connected through work and through marketing. Chris is leaving a bit of a tenure and time with the PGA to pursue his company and his marketing expertise and that purpose and that mission. He understands purpose and faith. He's enjoyed time with the Mako before. He gets what Alistair was talking about and what Matt was bringing the other day. So, Chris, thanks, brother. I know you've been busy over this weekend. You're a devote husband and father, spending time with the girls, getting them moved in for sophomore and senior years, respectively. Chris has two amazing daughters and soccer stars that are bringing it this year and getting ready for that season to start. So, Chris, thanks, man. Thanks for being with me.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's kind of a bittersweet day for me with dropping the daughter off up at school again, and I'm going to definitely miss them. But you know, they're doing the right thing and they're doing well. So, yeah, bittersweet, but I'm proud of them.
It's terrific, brother. Tell me a little bit about your two daughters and that journey, and them being athletes, real quick.
Well, the funny thing is that I was never a soccer fan. In fact, I would probably call myself a soccer hater. I wasn't into it. And they one day, my older daughter, Taylor, was like, hey, I want to go play soccer with Sarah. And I was like, okay. You know, I don't know anything about raising girls at that point. All I know is it was fun to watch, and they're good at it. And so we went with it, and it's their passion. It had nothing to do with me. But yeah, they both play in college and doing very well. The older one's a captain, and the younger one is making her way as well. So it's fun to watch. I'm actually a fan of the game now, and it's just because of them.
Of course you are. It's a great game.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you are a fan, Chris.
Right.
You know my story there, brother. But let's get into a little bit about faith and sport and that topic for today. You've lived in that world as you pursued your dream to be a professional golfer. You're a teaching pro now. Tell me a little bit about the connection. I know it's a tough topic in a way. And is there a connection? Give it to me.
There's a connection between sports and faith, but it's different for everybody. And I think the connection is more with the player and the faith than sports and faith. I think it manifests itself differently in every type of player, but there is a connection there. There's definitely a connection there, and I think it's not really as much a connection to the sport, but it's a connection to the reason why you're doing it and the way you go about your business.
Awesome. I like how you said that, the player and faith. Mm-hmm. And I wish I would have understood that a little bit more when I was playing at a high level. That's terrific, Chris. On your show a few weeks back, you asked this question to a group of guys that are still playing right now, and some that actually have retired. How did that question get answered, or tell me a little bit about that dialogue and discussion? I was interested to learn about that, and thanks for asking that question almost specifically for me, brother, in this episode of Mondays with the Mako.
Yeah, so I've interviewed tons of athletes, and you know, I have a very strong faith. It's basically what I revolve my universe around, and it manifests itself in a lot of different ways. But I've interviewed tons of athletes, and I'm always interested. I always ask this question, even to people that may not have any faith. I got to be honest with you. There was only one guy that I have interviewed, and I'm not going to say who he is because I like him, but that rejected that. Like, he straight out just rejected that. But everybody else has been great. And in this case, I was doing a live remote for a pro football camp, and they mix in, you know, they do regular football camp. And then at night they have a praise with the pros, and it's basically so all the kids and parents and everybody can come listen to the story of these players and their amazing stories and talk about faith. But even more than that, talk about perseverance and things of that nature, how to be a good man, you know, everything that it takes to be successful in life. And at this one, we had Rich Griffith, who I've known for a long time. Rich Griffith played for the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he was in the NFL like 7 or 8 years. He owned all of the records at University of Arizona before this guy named Gronkowski came along, and so Gronk owns those now. He took them from Rich, but Rich was an amazing athlete. Another guy, Anthony Trucks, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and a couple of other teams. Had an injury that cut his NFL career short. Also was an Oregon Duck, so he was another guy. Steven Johnson, current Denver Bronco, and was like Mr. Football in Pennsylvania for high school, and he went to KU. Greg Scruggs, this is an amazing guy. Didn't start playing football until he was in high school. Was a band guy. He loved the band, and he was just a big boy. And the football coach kept on him, and now he's a defensive end for the Seattle Seahawks. And then the last guy I just met this year for the first time, Charles Johnson, wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. And the thing about it is, if you're interested in why some of these guys have their answers, if you go look at their backstory, like Anthony Trucks, he's a motivational speaker now, wrote a book called Trust Your Hustle. Just an amazing guy. But the answers were almost virtually the same on the question, how does your faith work with what you're doing on the field? How does it motivate you? How does your faith get you through the tough times? And the answer was the same. It doesn't matter if I'm on the football field. It doesn't matter if I'm on the practice field. It doesn't matter if I'm sitting with my family eating dinner. My faith is centered to everything that I do, regardless. I just happen to be a pro football player and play in the NFL. But the thing about it is that it manifests itself in different ways with each one of these players. They all give back in a different way. They're all just great people. We're talking about players that, like Steven Johnson, he was like Mr. Football in Pennsylvania. Like there's a lot of great linebackers that come out of Pennsylvania. He was the top dog. He's a guy that is struggling to keep a roster spot with the Denver Broncos every year. A guy that had that much, and just an amazing. Greg Scruggs, the band guy I was talking about. I mean, I think what faith in sports and the big connection is not how it affects. It's the why. Why am I doing this? You know what? We all look at those guys and they make tons of money and it looks glamorous. Guess what? It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work and a lot of dedication. And it's time away from your families. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. They put a lot into it. Yeah, they get compensated well, but we forget about the men behind it. And, that was the thing. It's like, this is what keeps me centered in my life, period.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that breeds fair play, clean living, high ideals, right? Morals, and these standards. I like how you said that, Chris. It's the why, too, right? Going back to week 1 with Alistair, and that's just, that's going to stay with this whole series, probably with everything that we look at, is the why. That's awesome, brother. Tell me about this a little bit. Self-improvement and self-discipline are required to be successful in sport, especially at that high level. Can the same be said for finding that balance with faith, or, as Matt alluded to, believing in a higher being or a bigger cause than you, something greater?
Well, and the thing about it, and we talked about this a little bit, belief in a higher being, and that means something different to everybody. Not everybody is Tim Tebow. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is I happen to be a Christian, but we're all on a different journey. We're all on a different part of our journey. You know what I'm saying? We're not all in the same place. I evolved one way, but I'm continually evolving every day. And as far as the purpose, the one thing that I can tell you that it does for me that really keeps me centered is that I have a roadmap of how I want to do things, but I also know that I'm not just doing things for myself. I'm doing it. I'm not alone. I'm doing it because I want to further my career. Obviously, I want to get better, but I'm not doing it for that reason, just solely alone so Chris Braden can be successful. Because if that's the way you are, and it's hard. I have never met anybody that's successful in the way I would want to be successful that has that kind of mindset.
Nice, Chris. As you can see, I slipped on my my Atwater for you, brother.
Yes.
I'm going to do it.
Another guy of big, strong faith. Interviewed before, amazing guy.
Well, I remember our talks about good old Steve Atwater, and
Right.
I had to do it today. So I have two more questions, and then I want to end and let you get back to your family, brother, and your Sunday and your weekend and your cadence. But tell me as a parent, Chris, how do you bring this to Taylor and to Brooke? How do you guide them to believing in the connection?
Well, let me tell you, my daughters being in college, you learn a lot about them. And let me just tell you a quick story. I send them off to college. I've done everything I can as a father, everything I know to do. I'm not saying I did everything right, but I sent them out there. And you just don't know. You talk to them every day. You don't know if they're putting into work what you've taught them or if they're falling away from it. You don't know any of that. But I'll tell you a story. So my daughter, Taylor, the one that's a senior, we talk about it when she's home. She goes to church with me. But, you know, when she's on her own, she has to make her own decisions. She's an adult now. But we share an iTunes account because she wants dad to pay for all the music, obviously. And one day I'm sitting there and I'm just going through all the new music. And it's like, you know, whatever's popular at the time, you know, whether if it's hip hop or some new country stuff, whatever she's listening to. But I come across it and I was like, Hillsong United, what's this? And I go listen to the song, and it was a song called Oceans by Hillsong United. And when I think about it right now, it almost brings a tear to my eye, because it was one of those ways of, she didn't tell me, but I got to see that what we learned at the house and things like that was manifesting itself in her own life, in her way, which is that's the way it's got to be. You can't force that stuff on people. You know, and also like my daughter Brooke, she her camp starts this week. We just moved her in today. We sat and had a long talk about it, and it wasn't from my prompting. She's like, Dad, this is gonna be a tough one this year. And we got some freshmen coming in, and we want to send our seniors off this year with the Big Sky Championship. We haven't won it before. And I was like, you know, you can do it. And I said, just commit and do everything you can do. And guess what? Let the chips fall where they're may. You don't decide all this. All you decide is what you can do about it. And I think that's the same thing with faith. We all worship in a different way. We all read the Bible in a different way or another book. But the one thing that I feel that is really centers everybody is that it's love for one another and caring for your neighbor. Or in sports, it's caring for your teammate, caring for your opponent. That doesn't mean that you're not, you know, if you're a linebacker in the NFL, you're not going to try to, you know, knock the helmet off the running back that's coming through the hole. You're going to hit him with everything you have. But what you do is you stick your hand down and you pick that guy up, pat him on the behind and say, great play, man. I'll see you. You know, if you come through that hole again, you're going to get the same treatment. You know, and that's what it is with my daughters. And I think that it's manifesting itself in a good way with them. And I just love watching it. Right now, I'm just watching. I'm the dad that they call, and if they have questions, I'll ask. But it was the same thing with their soccer career. I didn't force any of this. It was them driving the ship. Now, did I pay all the bills? Heck yeah, I paid all the bills. Did I drive them and fly them everywhere? Yes, I did. But if they ever came up to me and said, hey, Dad, I don't want to do this, I'm like, well, then what are we doing it for? Let's stop. But that was never the case, and they love it, and they moved on with it, and it's their thing. So I just love my daughters. I have to tell you, the thing about my life that I love the most, and I've been a golf professional. I've done radio. I've done everything. There's one thing in my life that I love beyond everything, and that's being a dad and a husband. And those are the things I love my family, and everything else comes secondary to that.
You're a great dad, Chris, and I'm glad that I was able to.
It's hard. I've messed up a lot.
I'm glad that you were able to fit me into your weekend and that you got everything done with Brooke and Taylor. You're a stud. You always accomplish, brother. I want to ask you about this. What is sports ministry? When I was doing my research on this topic, I ran across a bunch on sports ministry and this new thing. What is this?
Well, let me kind of tell you what I'm doing right now. I have a golf group that meets on Thursdays, and what I'm trying to do is, I'm a Christian, so these guys, but we all have friends that are from different faiths or don't have a faith or searching or whatever it is. So I have this golf group on Thursdays. We get together, and I did get them a screaming deal. They only have to pay like $20 to play 9 holes. It comes with the cart, comes with the range balls. I'm sitting out there on the range giving them lessons free. I just want them out there. And what we do is it's just a safe place to bring guys. And I will say a prayer before and after. But what it is it's just a thing for these guys to come and have fun and enjoy it and to see it. I'm not one of those guys that sits there and talks about it all the time. I want them to see. And I think that's the big thing, and that's what I'm doing right now. But there's a lot of other great ministries. Like, for example, I'm playing in a golf tournament tomorrow for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. They have a big tournament fundraiser. I'm going to go do that tomorrow. But, as far as sports ministries, I mean, there's tons of them, and they're all different in their own way. Like my whole thing with mine is that I like to attract and not repel at all. I want everyone to always feel welcome to come around. And sometimes it's intimidating. If you're not of their faith, or you don't have a faith, or you're searching or whatever, it can be intimidating to go around a bunch of guys that, hey, we're all going to pray. Everybody hold hands. Let's hold hands now and pray. We don't do that. It's like, you know what, bud? If you want to pray, you come pray with us. I want you to. But guess what? You don't want to? We're hanging out, bud. We're just playing some golf. It's going to be a blast. So that, the sports ministries are everywhere. Not everybody's Tim Tebow, although that being said, I love Tim Tebow. He could marry my daughter if he wanted to.
Which one?
Thumbs up. Either one.
All right.
Those are the kind of men you want
to check with Taylor and Brooke, I'm sure, on that first.
Exactly. They'll be like, he's way too old.
Well, Chris, thank you, brother. That's all I have. You had some amazing insight on this and some behind-the-scene insight, and I appreciate your message and what you do. You're a great father. You don't force this message, and that's one of my favorite things about you. That's why I feel comfortable in talking to you about it, and why a lot of other guys and people in the community do as well. I know that your radio piece is kind of coming to an end because you're focusing on the marketing gig, and I wish you all the best there. And I know a lot of people in the area are going to miss you on the radio and that energy and what you bring and your storytelling.
Thanks,
brother. Finish strong there. Let me know what I can do to support you, if you've supported me always. And thanks for spending your Mondays with the Mako and for this session right here. Bless you, Chris. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'm putting the shades on. I'm out.
All right, buddy. Thank you, man. Take care.
Any last words?
No, that's it, man. And you look fly with those shades on. That's for sure.
Always.
I wish I had mine.
Thanks, Chris.
See you.
Talk soon.